All right, what are you working on, Daddy-O?
I am just finishing up. I just fixed this hose.
Yeah.
Right here. So this right here, I don't know if you can see it in the light.
Yep.
When we were running the engine, I noticed this was just dripping, just barely, just a little bit of water out of the top of that. And I looked at that and I'm like, it's all been probably leaking for a little bit. So I just took it off and I added another clamp on there. So I got double clamp and I redid the tape in that. So now this hose won't leak anymore. It was barely leaking. It was just starting. It was a little maintenance job just to make sure that we don't have a problem later on.
Nice.
So, yeah, happy about that.
Seems like you've been doing a lot of work on this boat.
Well, it kind of depends on how you look at it. It's, or fixing things or versus maintenance. So maintenance is to prevent, us having a big problem when we're out there messing around. And fixing is you've got a problem and you got to fix it. So, yeah, we fixed a few things. You want to see what they were?
Yeah.
I replaced the fuel filter right here. I just did that. That was completely a disaster inside. Took it all apart, cleaned it all out, and fixed that. Oh, and this right here, the thing was hanging down, the liner. So I got this wood right here, and I just put that up there. So that holds the liner up now. Pretty good. Oh, and then I changed the belts right here because the belts were about to break. So I got those all fixed. Pretty good. Radiator fluid was leaking right here out of this. So I took this apart, replaced that, replaced the seal, and I replaced that hose. Pretty good. Oh, this is our water filter. So I completely reconditioned all of this, replaced all the hoses, cleaned this all out, reconditioned the filter, and also all the hoses. So that's all done. That's pretty good. Well, this last week, we went in here, we changed the oil and the oil filter, made that sure that was all nice and clean. That's pretty good. So if you want to get into our freezer, you have to open this right here, and it used to have a handle like this right here, and it used to block it. So what I did was I took it out, I filled the hole, sanded it down, and covered it up. Now we can just pop it open from top. That's pretty good. So this is the screen right here. I replaced all the screen, sanded all this down, and refinished all of this, and so it all came out pretty nice. It's pretty good. So this light wasn't working because inside it had corroded on the copper. So I took it all apart, I sanded it all down, cleaned it all up, put it back together. It works now. That's pretty good. This is a 12-volt fan I got from an auto store, only $12.59 versus the $60 marine rated one. But I installed that. It works pretty good. So down in here, I fixed the holding tank and added all new hoses. So that all works great now. That's pretty good. So we also replaced all the hoses to the bathroom or to the toilet, and I also the choke filter, or what was it called, a choker valve. And so now our toilet works. That's pretty good. So this is our shower head. This was seized up, so I took that apart, cleaned it all up. Now it works. That's pretty good. So the shower used to leak underneath the floorboards right here because this was a crack right here. It used to have a caulk. So what I did was I went ahead and I fiberglassed it all, cleaned it all up, and now it doesn't leak. That's pretty good. So the towel rack right here, the screw inside, it all stripped out. So what I did was I put some epoxy in there and fixed the hole, and I put a new screw in there. Holds that up now. That's pretty good. This is the fuel tank. This is the fuel gauge right here. It wasn't working, so I took that apart, found the broken wire, replaced the wire, put it all back together. It works now. That's pretty good. This used to be a big old gaping hole from an old stereo. So I put that wood block there, and then I added a USB port. That's pretty good. So the compass was mounted right down here, right in front of all the stoves, pots, and pans. You're supposed to have the compass far away from metal, so it wasn't working ever. So I moved it over there. So now that works. That works pretty good. This is the water tank right here. And so I had to replace this little piece of wire right here and resolder that on that so that it would also show us how much water was in it because the gauge was broken. And these were leaking because they were never sealed up properly with plumber's tape. So I put that on, and that works now. That's pretty good. So Martin came in here with the big old monkey arms, broke this part right here by putting this handle of it down. So I glued that, put that strap on there, tightened it all up. It works pretty good. Our head used to stink like pee because it had super old hoses. So we replaced all of these hoses like this. So now the hoses are all clean and they don't stink anymore. That's pretty good. So this right here is our filtered water. And that was broken. I replaced that. That's pretty good. This right here, it was leaking out of the bottom. So I bought a new one, put the new one on. It works now. That's pretty good. I replaced all the house bank batteries before we took off on our trip when we first took our maiden trip. So these are all new. They're gonna work for a little while. That's pretty good. So I installed the Smart Solar charge controller for our solar panels up on top. That works pretty good. So this is our davit system. It used to swing back and forth. So what I did is I added these structural supports, and now it doesn't do that. So that's pretty good. So we took all these off, sanded them all down, along with the back part here, sanded it all down, refinished it, Now it's all nice and clean. Looks good again. That's pretty good. One big job on the boat was redoing the steering column. So all of this has been refurbished on the inside and redone with grease. I replaced all the cables so everything runs really smooth now. And repainted the whole thing so it's all brand new looking. That's pretty good. So this is the control panel here for the engine. So one thing I did is I took away the old plugs that were useless, put in these two plugs, then I replaced these two gauges so we could see through them, and also these buttons here now work. So all of this was basically refurbished and done. And then I made a nice little cover so that it protects it from the sun mostly. That's pretty good. So I installed these solar panels up here on the top by sewing these little parts on here and then being able to screw it in. It all holds down so it doesn't blow away in a storm. That's pretty good. Okay, well this is the button right here for our windlass, which raises our anchor in our anchor chain. It was broken, so I replaced that, rewired it. Now it works. That's pretty good. So I installed the swivel right here on our anchor, so now our anchor doesn't bind up our chain. That's pretty good. This is our cowl vent right here. It was leaking on the inside because it had a crack inside of here. So what I did is I opened it up and I cleaned it all out and I put Seal Flex in there. It doesn't leak now. That's pretty good. So the block here on this Traveler was broken. So what I did was, because they don't make them anymore, I found one in England on eBay and they sent it to me after I paid for it. Now I fixed it. That's pretty good. So anyways, the buttons on here had ripped out, kind of like this one's starting to here. But all these buttons ripped out. So what I did was I added a patch on the back and reinforced it and then put new buttons on there. Now that works. That's pretty good.
Thank you so much for watching this silly video. Next week, we continue our journey south towards the Bahamas. Stay tuned.
Hey, Daddy-o. What are you doing?
Nothing. I'm kind of bored.
Really?